Hello and welcome to the Heart Hook Home Video Crochet Podcast series. My name is Ashley. I am your host and the voice behind hearthookhome.com. Today we are going to look over some new projects that I have, a few new stitches that I've been using, and I do have video tutorials coming out for very soon. And we're going to talk about some updated projects that we have touched on in the past, and I'm very excited. I've got a lot to share with you, believe it or not. I'm quite excited. So you may have noticed that lovely Katherine here is modeling something brand new, and I told you last time that I would have a completed pattern project to share with you next time, and here she is, absolutely stunning. I will put it on for you here in a little bit, but I wanted to show you this is, and I intentionally am not showing you the whole thing, but this is the April design. So as you know, every month in 2022, I am releasing one new pattern every single month, and this is the pattern for April. I will show you here in a little bit, but isn't it absolutely stunning? I just love it. Let's get a close-up of the back here. Oh my gosh, isn't it fabulous? I love it so much. I love it so much. So this is a very fun, very open, very lightweight pattern that will be excellent for summer. You could even use it as a swimsuit cover-up, and it would be absolutely fabulous. So let's talk about some of the new things that I have had on my hook and things that are coming out soon on Heart Hook Home. So one of the things that we talked about last time are my crocheted socks. And I almost need a moment of silence here because I screwed up and pretty bad. I mean, it's nothing that I can't, fix. Because one thing that my brother, I don't know if I told you this in the very first podcast I ever did, I think I explained how it was my little brother who taught me to crochet, right? And I think it just popped up on my memories on Facebook, and I think it's been 8 years now, which is just mind-boggling to me that it's been that long. But one thing that he told me when I was sitting there and I was making my crochet chain, and it looked like, poo. It looked awful. It was inconsistent, thick and thin, it was awful. He said, don't freak out. You can't screw it up so badly that you can't rip it out and start over again. And so that is something that I am embracing. I'm trying really hard right now to embrace because I screwed up. So I showed you these gray socks that I was working up on the last podcast 2 weeks ago. And they're beautiful. It's a sock weight yarn. They're absolutely beautiful. It's going to be beautiful socks when I'm finished with them. I haven't done more on that sock yet, or that specific yarn yet, because I'm trying to nail down the pattern for the smaller sizes so that I can adjust that current size, right? So I had bought 3 skeins of this gorgeous yarn, and I'm gonna make these socks, and it's gonna be amazing. So I picked up the wrong skein is what happened, and I forgot that they were different weights. So I picked up the DK weight instead of the sock weight, which means that the skein is about 200 yards shorter than the other skein that I should have used. So anyway, my point in telling you this, I screwed up, and I'm owning my mistakes, and I'm embracing the fact that I can rip it out and it's not the end of the world, right? At least that's what I'm telling myself. So here is what happened, okay? I decided that I was going to crochet both socks at the same time, and so I was pulling from one end of the ball and the other end of the ball. And so I've got these socks, and it's kind of interesting how how the color pooled, because I'm working this in spiral rounds. Very interesting how this red stripe came up in the middle of this one, and then this one, it's more, well, I guess it kind of did in this one too, but very interesting, right? So as you can see, I have gotten past the heel on both of these socks, right? You can see that we're doing this short row heel right here. I ran out of yarn because I picked the skein that had 200 yards less than I needed. And so these have been sitting in timeout for a good, almost a week now, because I've just been so disgusted with them. I need to just frog them and carry on. But what I'm thinking is, I'm still writing this pattern, and that's the whole point of me making this pair, is because I was trying to write the pattern, right, for the other sizes so that I can size them out. So I think what I'll end up doing is just completing this sock, pulling the yarn from the bottom of this one, just so that I can at least have one completed sock, have the pattern done, etc., and move on. Let's just say that drinks were made. Okay, wine was poured. And so I have to start completely over from scratch. But here's the skein. Let me grab the caked yarn, because I even caked it, right? I caked this one and I caked the other one, and I had them next to each other, and I sent my friend Sarah a picture. I said, which one should I make for the socks? And she said red. Of course, she didn't know that I picked the wrong ball, so I can't blame anyone but myself. But I do like how it looks, right? Isn't that pretty? I do like the, see, and maybe it's better in the long run, because this strip right here kind of bothers me. Of course, when I'm wearing it, it wouldn't matter. But let me grab the other ball that I almost used. This is from the same yarn dyer. So this is the one that I almost used. So I do believe I will be using this one to crochet a fresh pair of socks for myself, so that I can take the pictures for the socks, for the sock pattern. But this yarn is the correct weight, and it is the correct yardage. I have saved my yarn labels, and so I know that yes, I screwed up, but it is not the end of the world, and I can start again. So I'm taking my brother's advice, and I'm going to rip it out, but probably not before I finish one of the socks. So isn't that gorgeous though? I absolutely love the way that this has worked out. What I'm doing, what I like to do when I make socks, we talked last week about top down or toe up, you know, however you're constructing yours. But I am going to start one sock on the outside using the outside yarn. You can see that on my face here. And then I'm going to pull from the center and make the other sock at the same time. And that's exactly what I did with the red yarn over here. But it just helps to make sure that you're not going to run out of yarn as you're working, as I clearly did. And I knew it, I could tell. Before I even got to the heel, I was like, I don't think I'm gonna have enough yarn. So it is what it is, right? And I mean, I'm not, So anyway, part of what I was going to share with you today is that in this new sock pattern, we are using this gorgeous stitch that is called the Pebbles. Well, it's not Pebbles, it's called the Peak Stitch, but I call it Pebbles because they look like these tiny little pebbles, right? They're almost like little crocheted clusters, but they're not. And so I have a brand new tutorial coming out for the Peak Stitch. It's already ready to hit publish. I'm just waiting to get these socks a little further along. I did start up a baby blanket using this stitch as well, so we'll see what happens with that. I'm using Bernat blanket, and it's kind of hard to see the definition of my stitches, but I am enjoying it, so there is that. But I worked up a small swatch. This is a washcloth that I have worked up that is using this Peak Stitch. And this is worked in rows back and forth, and you can see that the consistency or the construction of the stitch. So this is worked in rows back and forth, and this one is worked in the round without joining and without turning. So you can see that it's kind of like staggering just a little bit differently than in this washcloth here. But this stitch is absolutely beautiful. I do have several tips that I have learned in crocheting with this stitch that, you know, things that you should do or should not do. And so, yeah, this video tutorial and written tutorial will be published as soon as possible on the Heart Hook Home blog. And then as soon as I get that baby blanket finished, I will be sharing that with you as well. So that is one stitch tutorial that is almost ready for your hook. I'm very excited about that. So, as you know, we talked earlier that in 2022, I am on pace, right, to meet my goal of one new pattern every single month for the entire year. So 12 new patterns. This is number 4. Number 5 is my men's sweater that I literally just put in the dryer. I am washing my first version, and it's the smallest size, so it is the size small men's, and that is for my younger son Cameron, and he has agreed very graciously to model, you know, I bribed them both, but they are both going to model these men's sweaters for me. So I've got Cameron that wears the size small, and my older son, who is 15, is wearing the extra large, and he is 6 feet tall. So definitely man sizes, right? Which is so sad for me because they have been modeling my sweaters since they were itty bitty little boys, and now they're not little boys. They're both wearing men's sizes, and it's just kind of sad. The other day we bought Cameron brand new basketball shoes, and it's the last size before he jumps into men. So I don't know, just a moment of silence again, right? It's filled with moments of silence in this podcast episode. But the men's sweater has been figured out. I am testing the final part of my theory for the pattern to make sure that I am happy with just the construction of it and how everything is coming together. I will say that I have consulted with many men as I'm friends with, I suppose, that I can ask, about sweater construction. Would you want a hood? Would you not want a hood? Because I do plan on doing child sizes as well for this, and I feel like the younger kids, even toddlers, grade school, middle school, I feel like they would want a hood, but maybe more distinguished gentlemen would not want a hood. So I'm contemplating making that into an option on this pattern so that you could have a hood if you wanted to. I think that's a good compromise, because if I do the lapels in a certain way, then I can just add on for the hood and make it almost a convertible style, right? So one of the things that I really wanted to do in this men's sweater is I wanted to have it be a top-down sweater. For the stitch that I chose, that is just not going to happen. So it is not a top-down sweater, but that's okay. Trust me when I say that I tried 4 or 5 different times. I got all the way to the yoke on the men's size. I don't know if it was small or medium, but to the armholes, it just wasn't working out for me. The increases just didn't look right, and I am set on this stitch. So the one that I'm pulling out of the dryer here in a moment, I'm going to check the fabric density and the drape of it to see if maybe I need to go up a hook size or maybe even 2 hook sizes, because the stitch that I'm using creates vertical columns, and it also creates it's not a stiff fabric, but it's not super forgiving either. And from what I've gathered in the interrogations I've had, that's a good way to say it, because I do feel like I'm interrogating. Right now I've heard, from my male friends that stiffer might be a little bit better or more form-fitting. It's just the trend right now. So I'm testing that theory. We'll see what happens when I go to make my other son's sweater. We may change that a little bit, but for the meantime, I want to show you this washcloth that I worked up, because this is the stitch that I'm using for the main portion of that men's sweater. So I think this may end up being more of a men's jacket, like a warmer jacket, and maybe not something that you would wear. I don't know. That's not true. That's not true. I shouldn't say that, because it's just very versatile and I love it. So this is the stitch that I am using for the main portion of the men's sweater, and I don't have a name for this yet. If you have a name suggestion, feel free to leave one in the comments, because I do not have a name yet. So this is using the alternating single crochet spike stitch, and I do have a video and written tutorial coming very, very soon to the Heart Hook Home blog. That pattern, or the tutorial, is ready to publish. I'm just waiting until we're a little bit closer to getting ready for this pattern to be released the first week of May. But I love how it creates these vertical columns like this. So as you're crocheting it back and forth in rows, it's creating these very vertical columns, which I feel like, particularly we're using this for the main portion, which is the front and the back. The sides have a different stitch, because that was another thing that was suggested to me from my male friends, is to have that panel that goes down the sides. I don't know if you've seen that in men's things, but there's like a different panel that goes here and then a little bit down the arm. So I am incorporating that, or I'm trying to make sure that I'm ticking off all of those boxes for desirables for men's crochet. That is one thing. It's great to crochet for my kids, because they're young men, but if they're never going to wear it, then what's the point? So I'm trying to make this as enticing as possible and as stylish as possible as well. So it's going to be very structured, almost not a super fitted fit, but definitely with these horizontal lines to make it more slimming, right? Which will be desirable for the more distinguished gentlemen in our crowd, right? So yeah, I'm going to work up the child sizes for this. As soon as I take that out of the dryer and get a feel for it, I'm going to have Cameron try it on, make sure that the sizing is spot on and the fabric of it feels really good. And then I will start working on Caden's sweater as well. And I figured, if Cameron's comes out and I decide that I do need to go up a hook size, I can always, Cameron's, I'm sure, will be fine with 1 hook size difference. But at least then I know, having washed it, because, as you wash crochet, it does soften up quite a bit in the wash and dry, in the dryer. So yeah, that's my thought process anyway. I promised that I would share more of my designing thoughts in the background, and as scatterbrained as they are, I am presenting them in all their glory. So I am very much looking forward to both of these designs. This one, assuming that it comes out the way that I like and I do not have to make any further adjustments, this one is headed to the testers next week, and it will be published the first week of May. So that leaves me with only one more thing to discuss today, which is the gorgeous pattern that is on my lovely Katherine here. This is a very, I don't want to say it's an easy pattern. It is easy. I mean, it's not difficult. It looks harder than it is. But all we're using is single crochets and chains, and it creates this gorgeous, gorgeous line. Like, these lines are just gorgeous, and they go all the way up your back and across the front. It is seamless, completely seamless on the shoulders here, all one piece, which is absolutely fabulous, isn't it? It's my favorite part. So this is made using Cotton yarn, which is a cotton linen blend. You see how gorgeous this is? Wouldn't that be beautiful as a swimsuit cover-up? I mean, it really would. So perfect timing, right, for April. But let me go ahead and put this on here. This is a one size pattern. I did include a plus size as well. So the one size, I'm gonna say, would go up to probably an extra large, extra large, and then the plus size, it's wider. The height is about the same, but the width of the pattern is different. So this is the new design for April that will be out next Friday, which is April 1st, 2022. This one is going to be called the Maddie Ruana. It's a friend of mine. Her name is Madison, and she goes by Maddie. So we are calling it the Maddie Ruana, right? It's absolutely stunning. It's gorgeous. If I were going to use this as a swimsuit cover-up, I think I would seam the sides here for just maybe 6 inches or so. Seam those together, and then I could use either buttons or a pin or something on the front here to keep it nice and secured as I'm going to the beach. Or even better, you could use your lucite fork or make an I-cord or even a crochet chain and go through the sides here somewhere. See how I've got my finger coming through there? If I do that on both sides, I can make it super cute little belted thing. You know what? I think I'm going to do that regardless whether I use this as a swimsuit cover-up or not. I'm going to do that before this pattern is published because that sounds super cute. So use the same yarn that I used for the actual pattern. I'm going to make a cord or a drawstring using my lucite fork, which I do have another tutorial for. It's my favorite thing ever. It's my favorite crochet tool I think I own. And that's saying a lot. I mean, we should acknowledge that for a moment. But if you put it through the actual crochet here and then have it tie in the front just like this, wouldn't that be so pretty over your swimsuit? I think it's absolutely divine. So this will be published on Friday, April 1st, 2022. I think I'm just going to use the coupon code RUANA, R-U-A-N-A. As I mentioned, I don't know if it was in a podcast or a video on Facebook, I mentioned that the coupon codes on the platforms on Ravelry, Etsy, and the blog shop, the coupon codes have to be 5 characters or longer. And so I kind of screwed up when I started using the months. So I think I'm just going to use Ruana, right? So all caps, Ruana, and this pattern will be ready for you and your hook next Friday. I am so excited about this one. So definitely join me in 2 weeks because I will have a very special guest again. I'm very excited about this. I do have some new yarn that is on the way to me that I have never used yet. It is a wool yarn that is absolutely the colors that I ordered. Absolutely perfection. So I cannot wait to share that with you. Hopefully that will be here before the next podcast episode. And my very special guest will be joining me and we will have a lovely time and it's going to be amazing. So thanks for watching, guys. Watch the Ruana pattern coming next week. Watch for the sock patterns coming soon. And I will keep you updated on the men's sweater. I'm already working on another pattern that's going to be coming out either in probably August-ish, because it's taking a while to work up, but I have made significant progress on that pattern as well, and I am in love with the way it is feeling. It's going to be perfection. It's just going to be crochet gold. It's going to be fabulous, and I can't wait to share it with you. So you guys have a lovely weekend and a wonderful 2 weeks, and I will hook up with you on the next episode of the Heart Hook Home Video Crochet Podcast Series. Thank you for watching.